But
You know,
yeah.
as someone that produces music, I want to get your thoughts on this. There's been more and more talk of people using AI in music and producing it. And what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a misunderstood thing? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? What are your thoughts on AI and in music or in art in general?
Um, I kind of really don't know yet. It's sort of like I see it floating around and blah blah blah. A lot of the artwork. This is kind of weird, and maybe it's just me, but when I look at a lot of the AI art, it makes me feel sick, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why. It makes me feel uneasy. It's almost like it's something's too perfect about it. There's something the lighting. It makes me feel like nauseous. So the art itself, like, I don't. If you use it, whatever. Whatever. People are going to do what they're going to do. The
Yeah.
music side of it. From my perspective, it doesn't bother me unless it starts writing Teramaze songs. And if it does, then that's a new challenge for me. And I'm like, I'll beat you. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? In my head, I've already thought about that. I'm like, if it starts with writing Teramaze songs, I'm like, okay, well, then I'm going to have to beat a machine to write my own music. That until that point, I'm like, whatever. I mean, you can't change what technology is going to do, and you can't change what people are going to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Your own. If it's affecting you, then you have to improvise. You got to go around it. And in my head, like I love a challenge. Like um, ever since I was a kid, I was like always like I'd like playing the top teams. I love the pressure of things. Like I do my best work in anything I do when there's a lot of pressure. If there's no pressure, I'm useless. I just feel like I'm like, nah. Like someone says, oh, you got to give me a song in 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'll be able to do it. But if they said, if you got to give me a song in 6 months, I'll be like, whatever. And I'll leave it to the last minute.
Yeah.
It's like, so I love the pressure. So that's how I've looked at AI. I'm like, if that comes for what I do as a producer and more as a songwriter, then in my head, I'm going to have to beat it.
Yeah. I
Otherwise, all right, you can write our songs for us. It's stupid, but that's the only way I'm looking at it. Like, because it's not like I can go and stop it.
yeah.
I'm not going to promote it because I think it's, what I think AI is probably going to destroy everything, but who cares? I mean, it's like, until that point, I'm going to do what I do and try to be the best at that.
Yeah.
And if that wants to try to compete with me for some reason, then that's going to be a new challenge that might be interesting.
Be like Skynet is trying to clone Dean Wells.
Yeah. So it's just like, well, you kind of, that's the, as an artist, I'll see it as a challenge. Some people might get discouraged by it, I'm sure. But at the same time, it might weed out who really wants to do music.
Yeah.
And who wants to actually push the point and hone their skills and try to constantly outdo themselves.
Yeah.
That's my view of. That's why I do what I do. Is because I love the challenge of trying to outdo myself. I don't care what anyone else is doing. I look at bands doing great things and blah blah blah, but it doesn't faze me. It's like if I can better what I just did yesterday, then that makes me want to kind of be alive. It makes me want to. It keeps me inspired, so I don't have to compete with anyone else and compete with myself. I've got enough music now to kind of look at and go, oh, I wonder if I could do that again or do it better. So I build this tension to try to outdo myself, and no one gets harmed. Sort of.
Yeah.
Other than that,
just don't delete your albums.
Yeah, well, the reason behind the deleting of it is, firstly, I didn't want to hear it again.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to ever hear it again. I didn't want to have to learn the songs, like relearn them. Even though I like wrote every riff on it, it's like I got to relearn what I did, because a lot of it's like I just write it and then we record it And there's been no time where I've actually sat and played the song from start to finish. Or a solo, I might do like an improvisation. I'll keep it and I'll go, okay, next, what's next? Oh, I've got to do the vocals. I won't even play that solo again for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So there's no almost muscle memory. It's not like I'm sitting there like, well, I obviously work out the riffs, but once I've figured the riff out or the section, I sort of go, right, that's it. And I record it and done. I've never played it again until now, until we're relearning. So there's that. It's like, and the other part of it was like, I think I can write better. In my head, I was like, I think I could write better than Eli, because at the time I didn't like it because it made me feel shit. And this is all, someone might just say it's artsy stuff, but it's what goes through my head. And it's like, well, I can write better songs. So I've probably got 18 new songs already, like, that don't sound anything like Eli.
Yeah.
They sound more like what we were doing, but it's maybe slightly heavier and a little bit more modern without the sort of classic keys and the long sort of aggressive stuff. So,
do you ever write a bunch of songs and you think this is going to be a great album, and then you're like, you know what, I think I can do better, and you kind of shelf them in that folder you were talking about, and then write another 8 or 9 songs? I'm like, okay, I like this a lot better. Does that ever happen to you?
It happens all the time.
Yeah,
like all the time. The songs working on now. Well, it's actually, I suppose, because Eli was over 20 months, which is actually a long time for us. In that time, the songs were written in about 2 months, but the production and everything took a long time.
Yeah.
In that time, because I'm in my studio, I could be working on like the drum sound or something, and I get sick of it. So I'll pick up the guitar and start recording something. And I'm usually, if I opened up my sessions for Eli, at the end of each song, there's all these riffs. Because I'm in the session, I'm like, I better just throw this riff idea down. So I open up Standing Ovation. There could be a whole, 4 different riffs that I was writing at the time while I was working on like the vocals or something. It's like, so I go through and find all these little seeds of songs, put them in a folder. And so I wrote a heap of other songs while producing Eli that don't sound anything like Eli, because Eli was already done. So it was like, I was always like, I want something a bit heavier or a little bit more chaotic, and that's why I write so much. While I'm producing, I record ideas. I was taught when I worked for producers that you can always write something. And it doesn't mean it's going to be great. 9 times out of 10 may not be, but the 10th one might be like something cool, and you go, right, I'm going to turn that into a song. So that goes with that writer's block. I've never had writer's block in my life. I don't understand it. I think writer's block is just being lazy. It's like, oh, I can't write anything. Just write anything then. Just write whatever. Doesn't mean it has to be amazing. Most things I write are just a riff. It's like you can't even hear the song. It's just could be just a beat too. But you start growing it and adding little things to it, and you got a band and like send it to the singer. It's like, you got an idea? It's like, yeah, I've got something for that. Or by the time they've sent back an idea, I might have another idea, and then we've got 2 ideas, and then it starts building up like that. So
yeah,
I don't understand writer's block. Yeah, I'm not saying everything I write's good, but I've got lots of folders of stuff that I don't think is very good, but I don't release that because I don't think it's good. Someone else might like it, but if you don't like it, why release it?
I totally, I get it. A lot of times you'll come up with a part in your head and you're like, man, this could be really cool. And then you record it, and then you're like, you go back and listen to it, I don't know, a couple days later. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't really like that very much. And I guess when you do that, eventually you come upon something where you're like, man, there's like something you write that sticks into your head, and then you just can't get that out of your head. And then you're like, that's it. You might have recorded 10 or 12 or 13 ideas, and then all of a sudden you find 1 or 2 of them that really, really stand out. and then you kind of build on that. At least that's how I've always approached it. And
That's what I do as well. It's,
you know, I have songs that I've done where I've sang on them, and there's like 5, 6 different kinds of vocal melodies that I'll put on there, and you're kind of like, man, you go to like the first one, you're like, what was I thinking when I did that, right? And then all of a sudden you get to like the 5th or 6th one, and you're like, yeah, and you're like, man, and it's something you didn't like at first, but then you start listening to it, and you're like, man, you know what? I really do like this. So you kind of just go through that, and sometimes you can use elements from different things that you've done and kind of mesh it together. And I think the more ideas you put down and that you record, I think the better your songs are going to be, because then you have so many ideas. It's almost like brainstorming, and then you find things that just work really well together. So I totally get where you're coming from on that. And I think anybody that listens or watches the show, I mean, they're gonna understand. If they're a songwriter, they'll understand that. I'm sure lots of people, like, I've never had writer's block, like you say. I just, first thing that comes to mind, next thing that comes to mind, and then you go back and listen to it, and then you evaluate it. That's how I've always done it.
Then you can write 10 shit songs. You still wrote songs.
Yeah.
So it's not writer's block. But maybe amongst those 10, there could be one really, really amazing ones. Like, that's what you were trying to get. Sometimes you just got to get a lot of, because I'm just self-taught. I've never had any lessons in anything, production, singing, guitar. So I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, I know, some scales and that, but I don't rely on any sort of theory for anything. It's just purely a feel, sometimes more of a color thing. Like, if it's the wrong color, I feel like it's just, I don't want to do that. That's how I go by. The band loves it because they don't know what they're going to get from me every day. I know that, but I know at the same time they think I'm nuts. But I don't know any other way to do it, because I'm not sitting there going, oh, well, that's a C major 7th with a flat 5, and you can't do that. Like, yeah. I understand. I'll be just like, this is what I want there. If I want an ugly sounding chord, I'm going to put it in there. So, like, I suppose there's that, I've got no problem with people that learn theory, but I just don't do anything by theory. It's got to be in there somewhere, but it's not like it's at the front of my mind. It's just like, I can hear it in my head. I pick the guitar up and go, bah, 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 bah. That's what I want. That's the sound I wanted. Or sometimes I work at that sort of, just to get the rhythm, and then bang, record it. And then that's it. Start from there. It's like, whatever. Sure. But, go.
The album, how has it been received on your end? Like, how have people received the album? Like, what kind of reviews are you getting? I don't read a lot of music reviews, and the reason being is that I want to form my own opinion and not, from the get-go. So I don't really read a lot of that. But how's the reception been?
It's been good. Reviews are funny because they're like, it's just, like you just said, it's someone's opinion on the sound. Some people will go, oh, it's 10 out of 10. And someone was like, yeah, it's okay. I'm like, that's cool. None of them, like, it's nice, I suppose, for promotion to kind of go, oh, look, we got 10 out of 10 or something. But not everyone's going to like it. But the fans that we have, it seems like a lot of people love this style that we do. But on sales wise, there's albums that it seems like the album's doing well, and it is, and people like it, but I sort of step back and go, well, is it doing really well? And I'll look back at the other albums we've done on our own, and I Wonder is still the most popular one we've done outside of a label. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it feels like it's bigger. Like, it's weird. It's like, it feels like it's getting more coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Eli feels like more coverage. But it's something like I Wonder sold more. So, and who knows? It's sort of like, it doesn't change anything. But it seems like most of our fans like this style. But what I've learned with Teramaze is it feels like our fan base is sort of divided. Some like the heavier, some like the little bit more poppier stuff, some like the long progressive stuff. So it's hard to know if like, just everyone likes it that follows the band, or just just a pile of them that love her Halo and Sorella and blah blah. But then there's the ones that come in from Anadonia and Are We Soldiers and Esoteric that's slightly heavier. So it's hard to know. We just sort of got. Not that we're sort of sitting there counting things. It's just like it seems like it's doing well. It's getting a lot of coverage. We paid a bigger PR company this time to go, hey, spread it out, do more than what we can do on our own, and that's been good.
Yeah.
So, but we're not getting any hate mail. That's happened before. It's like, I don't like this. Go back to your old sound. I'm like, okay, man. Okay, stranger. I'm going to spend all my time doing what you want me to do. Like, it's so funny. It's like, I'll never do what fans or anyone tells me what to do with the music. Never, ever, ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say that. I think that's lying to yourself. It's actually lying to fans. It's not like we're making a hamburger the same every time and selling a McDonald's. It's like,
yeah,
whatever we're doing, if you want to come along for the ride, cool. You might not like everything, but if we released it, we like it. That's just the purest, like, keep the music. It's like we never think, oh, we should go back to her Halo because her Halo was more popular. That was never but that's not even even in discussion. It's just like, let's just go back and finish this story or start the story properly, and so it makes sense. So, but yeah, it's interesting being in a band.